Accepted for value. A4V. What is it Trump can't tell you? In this video, we'll discuss the idea of accepted for value, or A4V, and why it's not the solution you may have been led to believe it is. You might believe that A4V is the way to free yourself from debt and legal obligations, but today, I'll explain why it may actually lead you back into the very system you think you're escaping from. First, let's define A4V. Many people use accepted for value as a method to get debts discharged and remove your financial obligations. The idea is that by marking documents or bills with the phrase accepted for value, along with other verbiage and returning them, the debt is settled. However, what most people don't realize is that this process places those people back under the public jurisdiction, subject to its laws, debts, and obligations. The A4V isn't a private remedy, it's a public remedy process used for person to person. It is a method that completely operates within the confines or jurisdiction of the corporate US system, and the A4V process is not a widely accepted process used by the banks. They recognize a different process altogether. Without correcting your standing and status first, the A4V will not work in your favor. It's not a shortcut to freedom. It is a trap that brings the unaware, you, right back into the system as a subject. To comprehend why the A4V doesn't work, you first must be aware of the corporate structure of the US. The US is not just a country, it's a corporation. This means that all government functions, including the courts and legal systems, operate under corporate jurisdiction. There are three constitutions in play. The first is the original Constitution, but the one that governs the corporate US is the corporate Constitution, as established by the 14th Amendment. This corporate structure controls the rights of individuals in the public system. When you engage in processes like A4V, you're entering into that corporate framework, not the private remedy you seek. When the President of the United States takes the oath of office, they swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, but this refers to the corporate governance structure. This oath does not cover the private systems that protect the living man, woman from corporate control. The President and their administration operate in a public capacity, tasked with managing the corporate side of governance. They are sworn to secrecy regarding the private mechanisms that maintain the nation's operations, ensuring that only a controlled portion of the system is made publicly available. This dual capacity keeps the public unaware of the full scope of how the system works, especially when it comes to the living man, woman's relationship with the corporate system. Now, let's go back to the A4V. When you use the A4V, you're using a process designed for the public system. It brings you back into government jurisdiction, even if you think you're outside of it. The A4V process does not function properly when operating from the private. It's for persons. Using the A4V process may make you believe you're discharging a debt, but the process can only work if you're already operating within the jurisdiction. If you haven't corrected your standing and status, you're still a part of the corporate system, and the A4V process will not protect you from court actions or debts. To operate from the private, you must first correct your standing and status. Only then can you move forward without being subject to the corporate system's laws and obligations. The true solution is not A4V. The solution lies in correcting your standing and status first. Once your status is corrected, you can reclaim your rights and stand in the private, outside of corporate jurisdiction. Only when you correct your standing and status can you truly operate in the private realm, free from the public system's control. And after you do the required lawful corrections, you would not use the A4V process, as the A4V process is just a tool that keeps you tethered and bound to the corporate system. So, if you're looking for freedom, the key is not in A4V. The key is in reclaiming your standing, correcting your status, and using private remedies that don't require you to submit to the public system's control. When you correct your standing, you correct your relationship with the public system. Without this correction, the system will continue to have jurisdiction over you no matter what process you try. Everyone has at some point faced the confusion and complexity of the fiction, but to my knowledge, no one has ever made the full transition to operating from the private without real guidance. And that's because this isn't about learning a trick or studying laws. It's about remembering the fundamental principle mechanics by which you, the source, the creator, operates. That's exactly why training is required, so you'll know. And that's why the Code Red training was created, to prepare you, to guide you, to help you navigate this sea of confusion so you can get back to the land, and to provide you with the ability to access the new website when it opens. Speak not to be heard, but to remember. Breathe not to survive, but to transmit. Live not for identity, but for essence. And when you walk again into the world of contracts, codes, and conditions, walk with the knowledge that you are not subject to them, unless you forget again, and you will not forget, because this time, you know. If this resonated, subscribe to the channel for future drops. Follow the fan page to stay in the current, and you can get access to the Code Red training by using the link in the description below.